Are you leaving room in your prayers such that they will glorify God when we smell them as they're answered amongst the nations? Are you praying big enough for this? Because this is what God is doing. And so now we can boldly and confidently give towards the gospel going to the nations, and we can send and go and live accordingly. God's going to do this. He doesn't need our help, but because he loves us, he has invited us into this. So what do? We leverage what we have. We leverage whatever God's given us for his glory and his name's sake. Okay, so God's granting you this. Maybe God's giving you singleness right now. God's giving you singleness. Okay. You leverage that singleness for the glory of Christ among the nations. Maybe God's given you a spouse. Maybe you're married. Well, okay, we glorify Christ, Ephesians 5 tells us, by demonstrating the work of Christ in our marriage. You leverage what you have and you point people to Christ with it. Maybe you've got children. We glorify God and what Christ is doing in the nations with children. I hear this misquoted all the time. You hear people quote the Psalms and they say, "Well, children are a blessing," and they're like quivers it's like a warrior with a quiver full of arrows. Have you heard this? Right? They're children blessing. God's like arrows in your quiver. Blessed is the one whose quiver is full. Have you ever thought about the purpose of arrows in the hand of a warrior? You're to pull them back with all your might and release them into the heart of the enemy. Friend, you've got children, you leverage them for the glory of Christ. You point them towards Christ, and you don't hover and helicopter over them. You let go of them, and you send them for the glory of Christ. You've got a job, maybe you're good at making money, you leverage it for the glory of Christ. You point it towards Jesus. All of these things. Did you hear the kids? They just quoted Colossians. Everything came from Christ, everything's going to Christ. What a powerful thing for us to hear from the mouths of babes. Whatever you've got, you leverage it for the glory of Christ. And you'll say, why? Why all this stuff about Jesus? Why are we always pointing toward Jesus? Why do I leverage all these things to point toward Jesus? Why is it all about Jesus? Why? Why is this all about Jesus? Because, friend, that is what we will be doing forever and ever. We will be exalting the high and mighty name of Jesus forever and ever. So let's start doing that now.